Okay, so thank you for taking. Of course, it's my pleasure to review the work. Of course, no need to thank me there. Black and white on the top of the hangers. I also ended up adding a section to describe the product. Good, good, good. Um, I was confused with the type studies, as I thought we could still change the layout. It does. If you think about it, really think this through. Changing the layout adds every time you change a layout, whether there's type or not, it adds or takes away meaning from its original content, right? So when you want to study type to see how this type reacts with the layout, it makes sense to leave the layout static because that way the only thing that's changing is type and not the other inherent meanings of changing layout. So that's why when you move into your type studies, the layout remains identical. Then, once your type studies are in place, when you move into your color studies, the type and the layout remain identical. So the only thing that's changing is the inherent meaning of the associated color that you happen to assign to your color studies. Okay, I hope that makes sense, Dominic. It's really, really an important concept. When you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. So, okay, let's jump to your compositions. I love it. I think this is fantastic. There's a couple of things I would really, really recommend here because this is a beautiful piece. Okay, I think that when we talk about proximity, we talk about general basic visual elements and principles, there's something called proximity. What proximity states is that if something is placed close to something else in a composition, there becomes a relationship. Okay, if two things are placed far away in a composition, the relationship diminishes. Right now, I think black and white is really, these elements are so far from each other that it's not, the viewer could possibly mistake the fact that it is called black and white and think that this part is black and this part is white instead of the new line being called black and white. Okay, it's a really important concept, so think about that. What I would recommend is this. I would recommend taking black and white and just composing it right up here. So you have black and white right here. So move the ampersand right there. You have black and white. You can use the same typeface. So you have black and white right up here. Okay. Now, if you want to use the same typeface, you would have to, of course, either out. Now, you know what? You would have to use it in black. And that's okay because black and white has inherent meaning. You don't have to follow it by showing black and white and white. I hope that makes sense. The problem that you're going to have here is that this typeface right here has got really super thin stroke size, and this has a pretty beefy stroke size. So once you place the ampersand here, you can even overlap, create the black ampersand in black, and maybe even bring it up and overlap it somewhere here a little bit. That might be interesting. Well, once you place white right here, it's going to take what's the word I'm looking for? A secondary position in terms of visual hierarchy to the word black, simply because it doesn't have the same kind of that beefy stance that black has. So black is going to appear more important, while in this case, it probably isn't more important. Black and white is the name of the new line, right? So black should have the same prominence as white. So I recommend choosing a different typeface for white that has a little bit of a beefier stance, not quite so thin and frail through the strokes, so it can stand up to the word black, okay? The next thing is this, and I'm going to pull out my straight edge, and I want to show you so there's some areas here that can really be aligned nicely. So let's take a look at black, okay? Look at the top of the hangers. By the way, did you know these hangers aren't level here? So as we can see, let's look at the bottom of my straight edge here, and you'll see if I place the bottom of the straight edge on that top hanger, that the bottom hanger is down a little bit. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but what I'm doing is I'm bringing out this straight edge so you can see right here, the top of that hanger right there is a perfect place to align black. Or this line right here. Okay, but if you find some element in the illustration, you can use it to align, and that's going to tighten up that harmony. Whether the viewer is conscious of that or not, it doesn't matter. The harmony is going to be increased, even if it's on a subconscious level. It's going to appear to be more organized. Conversely, you can place the word white in alignment with something, if possible. And then you might consider using, well, I mean, you might consider moving the illustration in a little bit in the composition, moving this one in a little bit in the composition, and then using some portion of the typography to align the edge of the illustration. Okay, so alignment's really super important in design. Finally, my last recommendation is, it seems this type is pretty large. The typography is set beautifully. Leading and kerning are done very, very well. I noticed you've opened up the kerning on using white on a black background. That's called reversed type. And that's very, very smart. It's also very smart to use a sans serif on that black background, because sometimes in reverse type, the serif typeface gets a little bit difficult to see with the attributes of the serifs. So that's really nice. I just think that might be a little bit large right there. I think I would reduce the type size of that just a little bit. Okay, now if this is M5T3, which means this is our typographic, our color. This is where you have your color studies in place. So I'm not sure if you have elected to go black and white on this, monochromatic. Achromatic, which is fine if that's your decision. I certainly get it. It works conceptually. I'd like to see some pops of color through here, but that is completely up to you. If you want to stick with your achromatic color scheme, I totally get it. It fits conceptually. So that leaves those layout and typographic issues. So go ahead and address those for your final submission and add any color if you intend on doing so. So, all right, great job. And of course, Dominic, any questions at all, please feel free to let me know. All right, thank you very much.